A 70-year-old woman walks up to the gate with no special boarding pass, mentions one sentence to the agent, and suddenly she's on the plane before first-class passengers even line up. How does that work? Another traveler calls the airline directly instead of using Expedia, and the same exact flight drops $200 just by entering a date of birth. What's actually happening there? And there's a reason some seniors get waved through TSA security with their shoes still on while everyone else is unpacking laptops and removing belts, but the officers never announce who qualifies or why. These are federally protected rights and standard industry perks, specifically for travelers over 60, and airlines aren't required to inform you they exist. Because while you're entitled to these benefits, gate agents won't offer them unless you know to ask. So I'm walking through exactly what you're legally entitled to, the specific phrases that unlock these perks, and what documentation actually matters. First, and this is the one that should save you the most money, senior airfare discounts. Airlines offer discounts ranging from 5% all the way up to 50% off for passengers 65 and older. And you will never see these prices on Expedia, Kayak, Google Flights, or Skyscanner. They only exist when you book directly through the airline's own website or by calling their reservations desk. The booking sites make money by showing you every airline's prices in one place, which sounds convenient until you realize they're hiding the prices that airlines only offer to people who go direct. American Airlines has senior fares on select routes. United offers them on certain destinations. Air India gives a flat 10% discount for travelers over 60. British Airways offers discounts for ARP members. When you're on an airline's website looking at flights, search for a drop-down menu or checkbox where you can enter your date of birth or select Senior 65 and older. It's not always on the main search page. Sometimes it's buried on the passenger details page after you've selected your flights. If you can't find it, pick up the phone and call the airline's reservations desk directly. Say, "I'd like to book a senior fare for passengers 65 and older," or "Do you offer senior pricing for this route?" The phone agents have access to fare classes that don't show up online. You might save $50 on a domestic flight or $300 on an international route, but you'll never know if you book through a third-party site. That discount saves you money before you even leave home, but second, and this makes the actual airport experience dramatically less stressful. Priority boarding for seniors. If you're over 60, and especially if you're 65 or older, most major airlines allow you to board the plane early. Not in the general boarding groups where everyone's elbowing for overhead bin space, but right after passengers who need extra time and families with small children. Airlines have created 9 different boarding groups and somehow still can't prevent a stampede at the gate, but you can skip that entire mess. You don't need a doctor's note or any documentation. You just need to request it. When you arrive at the gate, before boarding starts, walk up to the gate agent and say, "Do you allow priority boarding for senior passengers?" Or, "I'd like pre-boarding assistance to settle comfortably. I'm over 60. The agent will usually hand you a new boarding pass or tell you to line up in the pre-boarding area. And here's the part they really don't advertise. If you're traveling with a companion, that person boards early with you. Both of you get on the plane before the main rush, stow your carry-on bags in overhead bins that still have space, and avoid the chaos of 150 people trying to board at once. This works on American, United, Delta, Southwest, and most major carriers. The reason this perk exists is because airlines know that seniors generally move a bit slower through boarding, and getting them on early actually speeds up the overall boarding time. But they don't announce it because then they'd have to enforce age verification. So it stays quiet, and only the people who ask actually benefit. Priority boarding gets you on the plane first, but third, free mobility assistance gets you through the entire airport without breaking a sweat. Airlines are federally mandated in the United States to provide wheelchair service, electric cart transport, or a personal escort to anyone who requests it, and here's what most people don't understand. You do not need a diagnosed disability or medical condition to qualify. The law uses the phrase "anyone who needs assistance," and that's intentionally broad. If the terminal is a mile long and your legs get tired, if you're carrying bags, or if you just want to avoid the chaos of navigating crowds, you are entitled to request help. This service includes an airport employee escorting you from check-in all the way to your gate, getting you through security in a dedicated assistance lane that's usually faster, helping with your bags, and meeting you at the plane when you land. You can request this 3 ways. First, when you book online, most airlines have a checkbox for Request Special Assistance. Check that box. Second, call the airline at least 48 hours before your flight and say, "I'd like to request senior mobility assistance from check-in to gate." Third, just ask at the airport check-in counter when you arrive. The agent will call for an assistant, and within 5 to 15 minutes, someone will arrive with a wheelchair or cart. You can specify exactly what kind of help you need. Someone to guide you and carry your bag, wheelchair assistance for long distances, or full wheelchair service including boarding. And if you only need help in one direction, that's completely acceptable. If you're traveling with a companion, They can usually walk alongside you and board early as well. I've used wheelchair assistance probably a dozen times over the years, and I'm going to be honest with you. The first time I requested it, I felt awkward about it. I thought to myself, I'm not disabled. I can walk. Am I really entitled to this? But I was flying out of Dallas-Fort Worth, which has terminals that feel like they're in different zip codes, and I had a tight connection and didn't want to sprint through the airport at 68 years old. So I requested assistance at check-in. The agent didn't ask any questions, didn't ask for proof of anything, didn't make me feel like I was doing something wrong, just called for a wheelchair. An airport employee showed up 10 minutes later with a chair, put my carry-on on the back of it, wheeled me straight to the front of the security line, got me through in under 5 minutes, took me directly to my gate, and wished me a good flight. No stress, no rushing, no worry about missing my connection. And nobody looked at me like I was gaming the system, because half the people in wheelchairs at airports are in the exact same situation. They can walk, but the airport is too big, or they're too tired, or they just don't want to deal with it. Since then, I request it every time I fly through a major hub. It's not about being lazy, it's about traveling smarter and using the services you're entitled to. By the way, if you find this video helpful or like this style of content, please consider subscribing for more travel tips. Mobility assistance handles the walking, but fourth. Modified TSA screening for passengers 75 and older. Handles the security checkpoint itself. If you are 75 years old or older, TSA has an official program that gives you pre-check style conveniences without the $78 application fee, without the enrollment process, and without the background check. TSA will make you take your shoes off if you're 74, but lets you keep them on at 75. Airport security logic operates on a frequency the rest of us can't quite access. You can keep your shoes on during screening. You can keep light jackets on. If the metal detector goes off, they'll ask you to step through a second time before doing a pat-down. This isn't guaranteed at every airport, but it is official TSA policy for passengers 75 and older. The reason most people don't know about it is because TSA doesn't make announcements and there are no signs at the checkpoint. To make the process smoother, call TSA Cares at 1-855-787-2227 at least 72 hours before your flight. Say, I'm 75 years old and I'd like to arrange for modified screening assistance on my upcoming flight. They'll make a note in the system and notify the checkpoint at your departure airport. You can also download a TSA notification card from tsa.gov that explains you're eligible for modified screening due to age. Does this guarantee you'll breeze through every time? No, TSA officers have discretion. But it does mean you're far less likely to get pulled aside for random additional screening, and you won't have to take your shoes off unless there's a specific reason. Those perks handle booking, boarding, getting through the airport, and clearing security. But now fifth, and this is where things get interesting. Free seat upgrades to better seats at the gate. Airlines reshuffle seat assignments constantly in the 24 hours before a flight, and seniors are often prioritized for better seats because you're statistically seen as reliable, lower-risk passengers. I know this sounds like one of those too-good-to-be-true tricks you see in viral airport hacks, but this is standard airline practice, and it works more often than you'd think. Here's the strategy. First, check in online the moment check-in opens, typically 24 hours before departure. If your assigned seat isn't great, middle seat back of the plane near the bathrooms. Don't panic yet. Airlines are still moving people around. Set a reminder to check your seat assignment again 3 to 5 hours before your flight. You'll often see that premium seats have opened up as the airline finalizes the passenger list. If you see a better seat available, grab it. The system will often let you change for free even if those seats normally cost extra. But if that doesn't work, here's the manual approach. About 20 to 30 minutes before boarding starts, walk up to the gate agent while they're still at the desk doing pre-flight paperwork. Don't wait until they're actively boarding. Catch them during that quiet window. Approach calmly, smile, and say, "Excuse me, I'm a senior traveler. Are there any seat upgrades available or any aisle seats or extra legroom seats? I have some comfort needs for this flight, or I need easier access to the bathroom during the flight." Be specific about why you're asking. Mention real concerns. Your back hurts in cramped seats. Your knees don't fit well in standard legroom. Gate agents have discretion to move passengers around, especially when there are no-shows or last-minute cancellations, and they are far more likely to help someone who's polite and specific. Some travelers report a 60% success rate with this approach. The worst thing that happens is they say, "I'm sorry, the flight is full," and you board with your original seat. The best thing that happens is you're sitting in an aisle seat with extra legroom that would have cost you $89. I saw this work perfectly on a flight from Phoenix to Chicago last year. A woman who looked to be in her early 70s approached the gate agent about 30 minutes before boarding and had a brief, polite conversation. I couldn't hear exactly what she said, but I watched the agent pull up the seating chart, click around for maybe 15 seconds, and print a new boarding pass. The woman walked away smiling. When I boarded, I noticed she was sitting in an exit row with all that extra legroom right by the window. Those seats were listed at $75 during booking. She got it for free by asking at the right time with the right approach.
Seat upgrades save you money at the gate, but sixth, extra baggage allowances can save you money before you even get to the airport. Many airlines, especially carriers based in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, offer passengers over 60 or 65 an additional free checked bag or extra weight allowance. Air India, for example, gives an extra 10 kilograms. That's 22 pounds. On international flights for passengers over 60. Other carriers have similar policies buried in the terms and conditions. The easiest way to find out is to search the airline's website for senior baggage policy or call their customer service line before your trip. Ask directly, do you offer additional baggage allowance for passengers over 60? When you get to the airport, you can also ask at check-in. Even if there's no official policy, check-in staff often have discretion to waive fees if your bag is slightly over the limit. If your checked bag weighs 52 pounds and the limit is 50, and you politely mention you're a senior traveler, there's a decent chance they'll waive you through without charging the overweight fee. This can save you $50 to $100 or more, especially on international flights where baggage fees are steep. Baggage allowances are often discretionary and depend on the agent's mood, but seventh, free transport for medical equipment and medications is federal law with zero wiggle room. Airlines cannot charge you for medical equipment, period. CPAP machines, portable oxygen concentrators, insulin cooling cases, mobility aids like canes or walkers. All of it flies free and does not count toward your baggage allowance. You just need to declare it when you check in. Say, I'm traveling with medical equipment, and show them what you have. For medications, there's a newer rule from 2025. If you're carrying more than a 10-day supply, TSA recommends keeping it in original pharmacy-labeled bottles and carrying a copy of your prescription or doctor's letter. This isn't technically required for domestic flights, but it prevents delays at security. For liquid medications over 3.4 ounces, liquid insulin, liquid antibiotics, eye drops, you are allowed to bring them through security, but you must declare them. When you get to the security checkpoint before you put your bags on the belt, tell the TSA officer, I'm traveling with liquid medications that exceed 3.4 ounces and I need to declare them. They'll inspect the medications and test them with a scanner. One more tip. Before you leave home, take photos of all your medication bottles showing the labels clearly. Store these in your phone. If a bottle gets separated or a label falls off, having those photos makes everything easier.
Medical equipment policies handle your essential gear, but eighth, complimentary refreshments on the plane handles something a bit more enjoyable. Flight attendants are often authorized to provide free coffee, tea, juice, or light snacks to passengers over 60 who ask politely, even on flights where these items normally cost money. Budget airlines will charge you $7 for a bottle of water, but somehow offer free Wi-Fi password cards. The pricing logic is its own mystery. This refreshment perk isn't written in any official airline policy. It's not posted anywhere in the seat back pocket literature. But it's a common courtesy that many flight attendants extend to senior passengers, especially on budget carriers where drinks and snacks are supposed to cost $5 to $10. The flight attendants have discretion over their inventory, and they'd rather give you a free coffee than charge you for it, especially if you're polite and you mention your age. Here's how to ask. Wait until the beverage cart comes down the aisle. When the flight attendant gets to your row, smile and say, "Excuse me, I'm over 60. Do you offer complimentary refreshments for senior travelers, or do you have any special perks for senior passengers today?" You're not demanding anything, you're asking a question. And more often than not, especially if the flight isn't full and they have extra inventory, they'll hand you whatever you asked for and say, of course, no charge. Worst case scenario, they say, "I'm sorry, we don't have that option on this flight," and you decide whether to pay the normal price. Best case scenario, you just saved yourself $8 on a bottle of water and a snack box. Now this doesn't work on every flight, and it doesn't work with every flight attendant, because some stick rigidly to the rules and some airlines have stricter policies than others. But it works often enough that it's worth asking, especially on longer flights where you're going to want something to drink anyway. I've personally had this work on Spirit, Frontier, and Southwest. Airlines where everything supposedly costs extra, just by mentioning my age and asking politely. The flight attendant smiled, handed me a full can of soda instead of the usual half-filled cup, and said, "Don't worry about it." Took 5 seconds and saved me $5. Those first 8 perks make normal travel smoother, but ninth, and this is the one that really matters when things go sideways. Priority treatment during flight delays and cancellations. In the United States, if your flight is delayed by 3 hours or more due to something the airline controls, mechanical problems, crew scheduling issues, software glitches, the Department of Transportation requires airlines to provide certain compensation. They have to give you meal vouchers if the delay extends past normal meal times. They have to provide hotel accommodations if the delay goes overnight. They have to provide transportation between the airport and the hotel. And they have to rebook you on the next available flight at no additional charge. But here's what the regulations don't spell out. Senior travelers often receive priority treatment during these disruptions, because gate agents and customer service reps have discretion over who gets rebooked first. If you mention your age and explain that sitting in an airport terminal for 8 or 10 hours is significantly harder on you than on a 25-year-old business traveler, they're more likely to bump you up the rebooking list, offer extra meal vouchers, or find you a seat on an earlier flight that technically has a waitlist. The phrase that works is, "I'm a senior traveler, and I'm seeking the full compensation available for this delay." Walk up to the customer service counter, not the gate, and make your case. Be polite but firm. Request everything in writing. If the agent isn't helping, ask to speak to a supervisor or the customer relations officer, which is a federally required position at every major airline. And here's one more angle. If you're stuck at the airport for 5 hours or more due to a delay, you might be eligible for complimentary lounge access even if you're flying economy. Approach the customer service desk and say, "I'm a senior traveler with a 6-hour wait due to this delay, and I have some medical considerations. Is there any way I could access a lounge to rest while I wait?" They might say no, but they might also print you a day pass that gets you into a lounge with comfortable seating, free food and drinks, and a quieter environment than the main terminal. Delay compensation handles emergencies, but 10th and final, companion gate passes handles something more personal: peace of mind. Airlines will issue what's called a gate pass to a non-flying family member or friend, which allows that person to go through security and escort you all the way to your departure gate, even though they're not getting on a plane. This exists for safety, comfort, and peace of mind. Maybe you have mild mobility issues and want someone to walk with you to make sure you find your gate. Maybe you're flying alone for the first time in years and you're nervous, or maybe you just want a loved one to sit with you at the gate until boarding starts. When you arrive at the airport, go to the check-in counter with your companion. Bring their government-issued ID. They'll need it to get through security. Say to the check-in agent, "I'd like to request a gate pass so my family member can escort me to the gate." The agent will print a special boarding pass for your companion that says gate pass or non-passenger escort, and your companion can go through security with you, walk you to your gate, wait with you until boarding, and see you off. Then they exit back through security. A couple of things to know. If you're flying during peak travel times like Thanksgiving or Christmas, some airports limit gate passes because security lines are already overwhelmed. Call the airline 24 hours ahead and ask if gate passes will be available. Second, the companion needs valid ID. And third, some airlines charge a small fee for gate passes, usually around $10 to $15. But most major carriers issue them free if you explain it's for senior assistance. So those are 10 benefits airlines don't advertise because they make more money when you don't use them. But now you know they exist, you know exactly how to ask for them, and you have the specific phrases that unlock them. Most passengers fly without knowing any of this, but now you have the information that puts you in control. If this helped you, make sure to subscribe for more travel tips.